Good evening, my drops of shadow, and welcome to episode 29 of Into the Shadows. Tonight, we're tackling a rather interesting subject. Some of you might notice that I don't have my ambiance going full blast tonight, and to be honest with you, I have good reason as to why not. It's because I'm going to be tackling a rather dark subject anyway. One that, honestly, it frightens me too. But first and foremost, let's ensure that we cover all of our bases. Don't forget to donate to Kinko down below. Buy one of his t-shirts. Highly recommend it, rather fashionable, and it helps Kinko out, gets him back onto his feet. Also, do not forget that I want you to download the Live 365 app so that you can listen to us anywhere that I go. I can keep you in my pocket. Or better yet, you can keep me in yours. Get me a little bit closer to your heart, preferably your jugular. That also said, you can listen to continuous content from Hellfire Radio once you've done so. You can also check out our wonderful show lineup on hellfireradio.com, as well as good purchase of merch, even my own merch. and and we're available on the Instagram and the YouTube, two different channels. Not only Hellfire Radios, but my own personal episodes are located on my channel as well. And we stream to Twitch. So, hopefully you're also watching us here at Facebook Live. And I'm so happy to have you here. So, let's see how many drops of shadow we have being cast upon the wall. We've got oh my goodness, it is Tukara and Elizabeth and Beth and Tyler and Paige. Yes, I see. I'm so happy I have so many. Even Tyler. So glad to see you joining me tonight. So tonight, the reason why this show is not exactly ambient, we're going to be doing a little bit of a psychological dig and deep dive. See, tonight we're going to be tackling the inner shadow, and many people are unaware as to what it is, what its effect is, but I guarantee you, you've experienced it. And many people have this and continuously pursue horror, fear. They attempt to grasp it, hold it deep within, yes. So, let us dive in, shall we, into what the inner shadow is in layman's terms. Because there's a whole psychological aspect to it. Freud, I believe, called it the id. I believe that, what's his name? Nietzsche calls it the shadow, I think. Kant called it the dark, inner darkness. It's the shade. There's several different variant names for such a internal entity that we all grasp, tackle, and wrestle with. It's that feeling of morbidity. It's the best way to put it. Morbidity to people. Defiance. So glad to see you coming about. Yes, share this out to groups, to timelines, to your friends. Spread the shadow far and wide. Make sure that it goes from here to there and everywhere. Otherwise, there'll be no difference between the light. And why would you want there not to be? Sheena, I am so happy to see you here this evening. So, let us talk a bit candidly. Hmm. As to what the darkness within is, the inner shadow. The inner shadow is that curiosity toward one's own end, also about embracing the things that go bump and skitter in the night. Yes, always being curious as to what one may do from point A to point B that could inevitably cause mass termination. Paula, I am so glad to see you reporting in. It is so good to see so many drops of shadow appearing. Makes me feel like I'm not the only one. Being the resident vampire of Hellfire Radio, it's good to know that I'm not alone. So, the inner shadow, the deep darkness within, and how we tend to chase after it. It is like chasing and jumping at one's own shades cast upon us by repetitive light, and that in and of itself is an interesting revelation. Shadows become far more apparent when we are at our best. When the light is shining upon us, there's always that shadow behind us, isn't there? And knowing the nature of that shadow, knowing what it is, might help us to be able to tame such a deep shade. Yes. So let us delve right in. Naturally, many of us have gone driving our automobiles down the highway, and we suddenly experience this creeping thought. Angelina! Angelina, I am so glad to see you. Contacting us from London. So lovely. Yes. You see, that thought of how it might feel when one is driving and operating their vehicles. What would happen if I just stared into traffic or drove off the nearest bridge? What would happen? Why? Why do we think this? Well, it is an obsession for the unknown. It's a concept, the idea, the thought process of the consequences that we will never be able to experience but once. And it never turns out how we thought. Oh, you want to talk about the fairy that knocks up Christmas lights? My dear, that is a damned gremlin. Usually a crotch goblin and a half of another individual that has sought to make your life a little bit more complicated, difficult, and less pleasant. Yes. So, you have that pursuit for the light at the end of the tunnel, be it a tunnel going up or down. Why chase it? Why do people constantly seek to chase it? That is really what this is about tonight. You have this consistent necessity for a adrenaline rush, and I don't know why this evening, but the English accent in me is really coming out rather thick. Angelina, you're from that side of the pond. Where do you think I'm coming from? Curious to see how many thumbs up and hearts I get for every single time I continuously change from one part of the island to the other. Oh my. See what happens when smoke goes down one's wrong pipe? Rather ridiculous. You see, I, I and of myself, am always dealing with that shadow chasing behind me. And people with mental health concerns and issues, they too are always tackling such a concept. But then there are those of us that chase it willingly. But why? What is it about it? It's the adrenaline rush, it's that sudden flow of endorphins when we could have, but we didn't. Oh my, got such a close call. No one didn't see that Mack truck coming. I'm so glad I swerved out of the way. And given the current climate, especially where I am, my goodness, with snow and black ice, we wonder what would happen if our vehicle would suddenly lose control. Angelina, I asked, what part of the Isle of Britain am I from? I'm curious. But you go forth, moving about your day, consistently facing the Grim Reaper, and saying to yourself, what would happen if I suddenly come across an idea of a concept of a termination of one's end? Will it be something permanent? Will anybody notice? What if? Hmm, what if indeed? You see, everybody worries. Everybody is concerned. Everybody thinks. Naturally, of course, the ultimate answer is to never delve in that deep. But we always wonder. We pursue film and game. We pursue stories, literature, and the like. And as we go through the various pages and configurations of words, we delve ourselves deep into the realm of the author's mind. And in turn, we face that death and we feel that rush. Who was that in the corner? What was that in the trunk? What was that sound down in the basement? It's a cause of a chill, a shiver, a slight little thriller, something that we cannot necessarily denote or discern. We can't grasp it. It is just outside of our reach. And that is what thrills us the most. Alfred Hitchcock consistently stated that the best type of fear is that pushes forth from the idea of what one might say is a thrill. Give me but one moment. It seems that I have neglected to do one thing in particular, as my computer is facing its morbidity. My goodness. But, oh, there we go. About to remedy the situation. German. My oh my. I do sprechen the Deutsch rather well. But give me but one moment, I can eliminate the accent and go into my much more natural Jersey accent. Which is kind of freaking difficult because, once you start doing a foreign accent, it's damn near impossible to stop. But yeah, I mean, we're always thinking about what would happen. Okay. Morbid curiosity in its purest form is something that we deal with every single day. And you get it, I get it. Why do we go after it? Hitchcock said the best type of fear is that is suspense, and he was the master of it. He knew exactly how to trigger a person's fear with something that was so freaking subtle it was ridiculous. So ridiculous. And it's not unheard of. It is not unheard of to, dip your toes into that shade. Because when you do so, it's hard to pull it back. I'm pretty damn sure that most of you here, you've delved into the horror genre one way or the other, trying to find something that will scare the shit out of you. And I get it. I get it. Hell, some of us identify as those individuals in the films. Some the antagonists, some the protagonists. Most of us it's the antagonists, because let's face it, some of the only reasons why we ever have a tendency to watch some of the more cheesy horror films is that we wish we were the werewolf. We wish we were the vampire. We wish we were Freddy or Jason or Mike Myers. We could have done that a lot better. Why the hell did that bitch actually decide to break off from the group, run across the field, and trip and break a freaking ankle every single time? Every single time. But why do we delve into it? Why is it that, the shadow, as it's legitimately called, it's a psychological condition of the mind that we all have? Why go after it? It's that rush. And where is it? I mean, if you think about it, found footage horror is one of the best examples of people pursuing that rush from a first person point of view. But then there's action films that do it too. We are watching from a third person perspective and we're seeing explosions, Michael Bay style, going all over the place. But then you got a weird breakout film that was done called Hardcore Henry, where you're seeing through the eyes of the protagonist. And you're like, what the flying fuck is this shit? But at the same freaking time, you're experiencing everything that's going on. So you're getting the shit scared out of you. And now you got VR with its own push of horror, putting you into it. I mean, some of you may have seen my previous Let's Plays of Afflicted, the Haunted Manor. All right. Some of you have seen me play through Phasmophobia. Some of you have seen me play through Gods. Yeah, those I think are the two that I've played through that were horror related. But yeah, think about it. That feeling of tension, that feeling of suspension, that feeling of what if, it's there. and it's constant. And when it's constant, it's palpable. It's solid. It's something that you can't escape. And it's something that so many of us chase after. And for an adrenaline junkie like Tyler that's in the chat there, he loves it. You know, I know Paige digs it left and right. Angelina, I'm pretty damn sure you're into it, and so are you, Sheena. You know, every single one of you. You live it, you thrill for it. And I don't blame you. I'm the same way. You know, so in all honesty, I'm really curious. What do you guys think? Is that level of horror something that we embrace psychologically as a need? Or is it just something that necessarily is instinctual, that we're not even thinking about it and we still delve into it? Paige says, I think we like being able to control feeling those things as opposed to feeling general anxiety we have control over. We'll watch something or daydream about something, which is true. You know, we internally fantasize about shit that we know won't happen to us, but in turn, we're getting that rush from thinking about it. Understandable. Most people have a tendency to fantasize about the impossible, be it sexual, terrifying, action oriented. And for some people, they do say, now answering my question, Tyler says instinct. Okay, instinctual. We think about morbidity as what? A protective measure? Something so that, okay, I'm thinking about this happening. What would I do? But the problem comes in, especially when you're dealing with the shadow, is that you're instigating the incident. You're the one that's necessarily saying, make the bad thing happen and let it go the way that it's meant to without you actually getting through. Paige, in a way, is kind of saying it's a coping mechanism, which you want to what? Yeah, I can totally see that too. You know, it's like people that work in explosive ordnance disposal, and I know a couple of EOD guys back from my time in the military. And they always have that one thought in the back of their brain that's constantly freaking going ballistic that's saying, what if this time I clip the wrong wire? Or what if this thing accidentally goes off? I know a lot of guys that did deployments, and that thought is never far from their mind. They never think they're going to be coming back. And it's a military coping mechanism. The moment that you accept the fact that you're probably not going to be coming back, the easier it is to be in the combat. You know you're walking into death. You know it's not going to go well, or at least you think you're telling yourself that you know. And you end up experiencing this massive rush of calm and comfort because in your mind it's already played out. And that's a little creepy. But at the same time it's a protective measure. Oh goodness. But it's still valid. If you think about it, it's valid. There are a lot of people out there that struggle with this consistently. You know, people that have suicidal ideation, you know, are always thinking, will I be missed? And then they start getting the mental idea of, okay, what would my funeral be like? Who would actually attend? Will anybody actually attend? You know, you think about what would be said about you. Who will remember what it is that is about you? And that becomes a rough thing to have to like mentally think on. And you know what? It's not out of the realm of plausibility either for a lot of people to have those thoughts. We prepare ourselves for it, as Paige is saying. We do it so that we're mentally prepared. And I get it. It's scary. And we get that either feeling of sudden euphoria or we get an overwhelming sense of melancholy. It's a bit of a toss up for those of us with mental health issues. I myself in particular, because I'm a functioning paranoid schizophrenic, I'm always thinking it's coming. And unfortunately, because of auditory hallucinations, I always think it's coming and I'm constantly being told it's coming. Like if I were to share with you guys even a tenth of the shit that I hear constantly, you'd be worried for me. It's just I've learned a long time ago to stop focusing on them. I mean, even now they're going nuts. It makes things difficult. But at the same time, we press past it. And I'm pretty damn sure that a lot of us, we face the morbidity that's within us and we rise above it and against it, despite the situation. At least I feel that way. What are your thoughts? See, tonight I was a little worried about this subject because yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on it, but at the same time, I'm always worried about you guys. I don't want to plant something into your minds or trigger something into your minds that you didn't even really consider and now you're considering it. Just reading the comments here, guys. Right, Paige. That's 100% accurate. And it also comes down to even if we don't want to have an experience, we're still curious about it. The what if or what would I do? And it's a consistent form of morbid daydreaming. We like to be prepared and in control. Even if your fantasy is to be out of control, you're still realistically in control, which is good. I mean, you're playing out scenarios of the mind. And when a person plays out a scenario of the mind, they in turn know how to cope. I guess it's the best way to put it. You learn how to cope. Because we're always wondering, are we ever going to come across something that we can't handle? It's a repetitive fear for a lot of people. For me, granted, some of my fears are simple and some of them are downright freaking complicated and complex. I mean, one of the biggest ones for me is if the schizophrenia gets out of control and I get terrified that I'll get committed. I know it's not going to happen. I know that I've had the proper levels of therapy and medication in my past to be able to learn how to deal with it. I use cognitive behavioral therapy to be able to maintain, but that's a constant fight. What happens when it gets out of control? That's when it becomes a problem. And I know that, as fucked as it sounds, I know it's a battle that eventually I might lose. The incidence of checking out early for people like me is rather high. And I know because I've had 6 attempted checkouts in my life. It sucks. But you know what? I've survived every single one of them, which means I'm still here. I think it also has to do with the fact that these thoughts are theoretical. We have no real life experience with any of these things. They aren't tangible. Always leads to curiosity, and in this case, morbid curiosity. Very true, Paige. See, Paige is actually trained with a lot of this shit too. So that's a good thing. And, I know I've got people watching, and if you're dealing with issues, do talk to somebody. You see, Takara, totally all understandable. Yeah. CBT is great. You can't function on it alone. You know, you do have to go to therapy beforehand. You do have to at least get, if you need to get medication. In my case, I needed to be at that time until I learned how to be able to cope and I developed coping skills for my stuff. But, others, it takes longer. I was on meds for a few years and then I had to go through CBT for a while and that helped. And now it's, self administered CBT. And it's every day, every day. I try to lead a low stress life, and I'll tell you, the mental health doesn't help with that. The mental health makes it difficult, but you know what? I don't give up. I don't think anybody should. CBT is really helpful. Anybody got any questions, comments, concerns, complaints? And by the way, if you want any cash payments, you don't have to pay cash, but you can, by the way, buy my merch. At least for that guy, Rank Commander. There isn't any merch for the Killing Wall just yet. There will be, though. There will be. I'm working on something. But all honesty, man, everybody and their mother has that dark shadow in them, and we all embrace it in our different ways. And it's a lot harder to shrug it off for some of us with issues than others. Ow. See, right now, my inner voices are telling me that people could probably see what is the ingrown hair that's growing here. And now my thoughts are turning to, should I shave off this? And then if I shave off this, I'm not going to draw as many people and nobody's going to really be entertained by seeing my mug. And then I'm going to be left alone and then it's not going to help the station. And next thing you freaking know, I'm gone. This is the crap that plays in my head. When you have a shadow as prominent as, let's say, mine, it's constantly scenario creator, cranked to 1,000,000. It sucks. I'm sorry to hear that, Takara. Yeah, it's rough. It's rough for a lot of us. But you know what? 3 things to remember. 1, you're not alone. 2, there's always help available. 3, you can get through this. Those are the 3 things to always remember. You're not alone, you can get help, and you will get through it. People don't die from mental health. People die from acting on what the mental health causes us to go through. And I'm pretty damn sure a lot of people would agree with me there. I think this is going to be a short one tonight, Takara. Yeah, Takara, by the way, for those of you that don't know, is one of our staff that helps us out. And, I'm so thankful for them, especially when they hop into my live streams because they keep me a little bit centered. But yeah, yeah, Tyler, and that's just it. I know plenty of people that had the same condition that I did, and it wasn't the health, it wasn't the mental issue or the schizophrenia that got to them, that killed them. It was them acting on it that got to them. It's learning how to shut out the voices. It's how to be able to carry yourself. And yeah, Takara is an owner of the station, and for that, yeah, we do. We seriously do, Takara. Baron and Defiance merch. I mean, shit. If we blow it up, how about we blow it up off stream? And the only reason why I'm saying that is because I know we'll be able to push it about a billion different places, and I know my voice is something a lot of people can't necessarily deal with. And, you know, at least this way, I'm just hoping that folks realize that your inner shadow has no power over you if you don't let it have that power over you. And it's powerful to a lot of us. But remember, your inner shadow is for entertainment purposes only. It's there to stimulate your mind and get you to think what ifs, but at the same time, don't act on it, whatever you do. Because most of the time, it's like your drunk friend that's basically telling you, hey, hold my beer. I'm going to do a stupid. And it's never a good idea. It's never a good idea. And a lot of people try to sweep mental health issues under the rug and don't take someone having an obvious issue going on seriously. They label them as crazy. Yeah, yeah, I'm not even going to argue that, Tyler. That's true. Um, I mean, I embrace my mental health. You know, I'm a paranoid schizophrenic. You know, am I going to hide that? No. People that actually like watch the show or know that it's there. They know when I get hyper stressed, the auditory hallucinations get louder and harder to ignore. They know that when I enter into a almost near fugue state, I suddenly lose the ability to speak English because I don't just speak English. I speak English, French, German, Italian slash Sicilian, Puerto Rican, and a bit of Russian. And I completely and totally lose all awareness of what's going on around me. And it's rough when I go through those states. It's been a long time since I had that kind of a fugue state. It was, God, it was in the summer of 2016, I think was the last time I had one. It was rough. It was like the day I found out that one of my cousins had passed away. And everything just completely and totally went right over the cliff. It took me about a good like hour to get back down to normal, where I was speaking English at least. At least that's as far back as I can remember. And those of you who don't know, I also suffer from cerebral seizures where I get memory blanks and don't remember something. But, we are all carrying our own burdens, and the shadow has a tendency to amplify it. Just got to remember, fight. Never give up. Never surrender. Captain Taggart. Anybody else have any questions, comments, concerns, complaints, cash payments? Anybody? Anybody at all? Also, we've got some kick-ass shows here at Hellfire. Friday Fuckery happened earlier this evening, as well as Shit Show Theater. Every other Saturday, we have Craft Beer Corner. We had one last Saturday. We're going to have one next Saturday, hopefully, on the 27th, I believe. We have, goodness gracious me, we've got Paranormal Talk with Azazel. We've got Greetings from Disgraced Land with Justice. You've got, the Monday Ritual, again with Scoops and Mischief. Diego and Dustin have 5th and 24, a sports show. We've got Rock Assault Radio with Will, which is very awesome. So, yeah, I mean, we've got a full lineup and some kick-ass shows. Not to mention, you also got me here on Fridays, and you've got the Rant Commander that's going to be 4 days of the week. I'm thinking Fridays I'm gonna be always one on Fridays. I think that's what I'm gonna do. Killing Wall with the Rank Commander is gonna be Monday through Thursday, but I'm really curious as to, I might make that like a poll or something, you know, see how many people would prefer to see the Rank Commander more or Baron Voltage more. One of the two. Because right now, I want to be with you guys 5 days a week. I just got to be sure as to what it is that you want. Do you want more of my horror and fear content? Or do you want more of my comedic rant content? One of the two. You tell me, I will deliver. Because right now, I like venting anger a lot. And if I could, I'd do both in one day. Fortunately, work schedules kind of make that difficult. But as I've said before, and I will say again, don't be afraid to reach out. Let me know. Okay? So that's why I'm here. And I'm only hoping that I made enough of an impact for every single one of you. So this way you know what's up. I know either one works, Tyler, but one I'm going to be hitting you with what the fuck is pissing me off, and the other one I'm going to be trying to get real deep with horror and shit and doing gaming Let's Plays, unless I'm playing something with somebody and I'm getting the other shit scared out of me, in which case then that's interchangeable too. See what I mean when I say I've got consistent conflicts in the brain? Because I want to be able to give you guys what I know you want. So you let me know what it is that you want more of. And I'll be happy to do both if I can. Who knows? Maybe the rank commander became a civilian and suddenly, he pops up in a tuxedo or suit like I'm wearing right now, and I just pull out the damn hat. Either way, us vampires know how to blend in really well. Because either way, you're going to be dealing with me, or you're going to be dealing with me. Got it? I'm so happy to see so many of you in here tonight. Oh. So wonderful. There we go. The scalp is such a wonderful thing to massage, especially with a brush when you've got long enough hair. Oh. But anyways, folks, I'm so glad to see you all tune in tonight. I'm probably going to call it a night. I'm hoping that every single one of you see you again on Monday, same time and channel. The Rank Commander will have something to tackle. But till then, as I state before, and I will state again, good night, sleep tight, and if you ask nicely, maybe, possibly, I'll bite. Good night. See you all Monday, folks.